Good evening. On tonight's broadcast, the United States is now in its second week of a government shutdown, and more major deadlines are heading its way. Will Congress raise the debt ceiling, and what does this mean if they don't? I'm Megan Roberts, and this is the Rundown. Well, there may be a glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel. On NBC's Meet the Press this morning, Senate Majority Whip Senator Dick Durbin said the conversation between Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has the promise of finding a solution to the spending and debt impasse that has paralyzed Washington for the last 2 weeks.
It's a breakthrough. Hard to imagine, but it's a breakthrough. We reached a point where the House Republicans and their leadership really have stepped to the sidelines. They're not part of this at this point. They can't agree among themselves about what they want to have done in this negotiation. The conversation that started yesterday between Senator McConnell, the Republican Senate leader, and Senator Reid, I think has the promise of finding a solution.
Well, over the weekend, the spotlight has shifted off the House Republicans and Speaker John Boehner and is now on the Senate to find a solution to fund the government and pass a spending solution. As for the president, Obama has said that he is willing to discuss fiscal policy changes, but only after congressional Republicans agree to pass a spending bill to allow the government to resume full operations and also pass an increase in the government's debt limit. Well, the threat of the U.S. defaulting on their bills and not reopening the government is sending shock waves around the world. International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde has some words on U.S. lawmakers' inability to make a deal on opening the government and increasing the debt ceiling.
There's nothing like a deadline to actually reach the target, and I would hope that that deadline operates in that fashion. But that was the view expressed by all ministers in town in Washington for 2 days, who've come from all corners of the world for the annual meeting of the IMF. They are concerned because the US is the biggest economy in the world, because it trades with all of them, because it has massive financial consequences for them as well. So it's an international concern that was expressed.
3, 2, 1. The shutdown will move into its third week tomorrow, and Congress only has until Thursday, October 17th, to pass a debt ceiling increase or face a possible economic catastrophe. The House will return Monday afternoon, and Senate Democrats, meanwhile, met with President Obama yesterday and was back to work today. Well, tonight I am joined by Seamus Lyman of the Oswegonian, who has been following the government shutdown and the debt ceiling crisis for the last 3 weeks. Seamus, you've been following the story. You've been seeing everything that's been coming out of Capitol Hill, or lack thereof coming out of Capitol Hill. What was your story about that you published in the Oswegonian? How are you looking at this?
Well, I looked at it as an aspect of, how this shutdown relates to Oswego, the city of Oswego, and not only that, but the Oswego State community, so on campus and everything. And what I saw is right now, there's not a lot that's going on. The state, New York State funds itself. The city of Oswego has its own budget, so not too much is relying on anything from the federal government. And then students, their loans have already been paid out for the year, so for the semester at least. So everything's fine now. Everything's just waiting to see how long the shutdown goes for.
Exactly, but if this shutdown continues and we're starting to hear of some positive things coming out of Capitol Hill, but not really anything that significant. So if this shutdown lasts for the next 5 months, how will that affect the students of SUNY Oswego and the community?
Well, we'll start to see students having problems with financial aid, filling out their FAFSAs. Those can't be processed because the government will still be shut down. You'll see federal work-study programs. They'll start to stop. Already, the National Science Foundation has stopped sending out new grants to new research projects, stuff like that. I know our school, Oswego State, has already seen some grants from them. So far, they've already been paid and everything, so there's nothing to be worried about yet. But that would stop things in the future from happening, new studies happening, and things like that.
Will this affect them this spring semester, or is it something that will hurt them when they try to apply for their FAFSA form for the 2014 school year?
Both. If you have to reapply for your FAFSA in January, you can't because nobody's going to be there to process your forms. I believe there's only like around 200 employee still with the U.S. Department of Education. So through that, there's not that many people there to look at forms, process forms, and get financial aid to who needs it. And there's no money behind the financial aid that's going to be given out.
Seamus, when you look at the chaos that's going on right now in both the Senate and the House, you've noticed that the House and the Senate have tried passing this legislation to partly, keep the government working. Now, and Democrats have kind of come out and said that, not that they don't want the money to be distributed, but they want people to understand that the government needs to start working. Do you think they're wrong in that? Do you think that, or are they playing the bad guy in this by not wanting to pass certain legislation that partly funds certain aspects of the government?
I think that, by piecing it back together is causing more problems than anything, because then you only have parks opening up. You only have certain aspects of the government opening up, and you're not getting maybe the more important things back open. Like all the students who are getting financial aid in the country, you're not getting that going on. You're not paying federal officers, you're not paying people in the military, stuff like that, once you get to a certain point. And then, there's a lot of other problems that come along with that, and it's weird that they just want to piece it back together bit by bit, and they say that that's how you got to get the ball rolling. But at the same time, the fact that the Obamacare is what's really been looked at as being a main reason for the shutdown is still a problem, even though we're in the shutdown right now.
It's still a problem. And Seamus, what do you think about this? I mean, it's a law. The law has been passed. It has gone since 2009. It has been voted on. It has been approved by the Supreme Court. It is now the law of the United States. It is no longer a bill that is sitting in Congress, being debated, being passed on. So why are they continuing to hammer away at this?
Right. I think one of the biggest things is it was going to happen no matter what, because like you said, it's a law, and that's what it is now. One of the biggest problems is that they want to change how it's funded. And one of the things that I've seen is they want people who apply for it, they want to know their financial backgrounds. They want to know how much money they make a year, things like that. Because one of the big things that it's looked at is as something to help people who can't afford health care. So they want to be able to tell if that's actually what it's being used for, if people are trying to cheat the system.
But was it worth shutting down the government to do it?
That's the big question. Everybody was like, oh no, the government's going to shut down, and we still all woke up on October 1st. And we've woke up every day since. The big thing is going to be that debt ceiling that's looming ahead. So.
And we are going to get to that later in the broadcast. We're going to talk about the looming debate on the debt ceiling and raising it. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have some reaction from Republican Party members. Good. That went really well. No.
Weekiy MBA program, helping you achieve your goals with a customized curriculum developed with flexibility in mind. Take classes year-round, full or part-time in Oswego, online or at the Metro Center in downtown Syracuse. More information is available online or by calling 315-312-2911.
This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Of course it's not happening. Armored car. Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me.
Feed the pig.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties, Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties, 315-343-5005.
Welcome back to the Rundown. I'm Megan Roberts. As Republican lawmakers inch closer to a deal with President Obama on the government shutdown and the debt ceiling, conservatives that drove the stalemate in the first place are unified in opposition. GOP Senator Ted Cruz has been at the forefront of the opposition since before the shutdown took effect. Cruz was among loyal supporters at a Values voter rally on Friday. CNN's Aaron McPike reports.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz took center stage at the Values Voter Summit, angered over the direction the country is headed in.
And every man and woman in this room believes in your heart, in your gut, in your soul that is utterly and completely unacceptable.
Cruz rallied the faithful at a gathering of social conservatives here in Washington and continued his fight against Obamacare, a position many members of his own party are starting to abandon.
But I want to make the most of this moment. We have an opportunity here to pay down our national debt and jumpstart our economy. This president, he won't agree to everything that we need to do.
Like Paul Ryan, who was on video, and Ted Cruz, Senators Marco Rubio and Rand Paul are potential hopefuls for the 2016 GOP presidential nomination. But Rubio and Paul avoided talking about Obamacare and the shutdown today.
There's a worldwide war on Christianity.
It's taking a toll on the GOP. A new Wall Street Journal NBC survey shows even Republican voters, those who don't identify with the Tea Party at least, think congressional Republicans are putting politics ahead of the good of the country. Afterwards, Cruz did attend a meeting at the White House, where he later said there was a lot of talk.
If I'm never seen again, please send a search and rescue team.
And while there is a growing divide within the GOP, Cruz was riding high with support here.
We're supporting Ted Cruz because we think he's standing for the principles that we believe in.
I think they should stand their ground. And what this is doing is really truly revealing who the true Republicans are versus the rhinos, which is Republican in name only. It's becoming very apparent, so I'm kind of glad that that's continuing.
As for the leadership trying to cut a deal, like John Boehner,
We congratulate him for standing strong, but now he's got to stand strong.
I think John Boehner has a good tan.
Democrats and Republicans have continued to communicate through Friday after last night's meeting with the president at the White House, but there appears to be little progress toward a breakthrough that would be acceptable to all sides. Well, the continuing shutdown has Americans wondering why it is so hard to come to a compromise. On State of the Union this morning, Senator Rand Paul had some interesting comments on how leadership, or lack thereof, is playing a key role.
So we all have a little bit of ego, so I think most of us kind of think, oh, we're one of the leaders. I don't think there is. You know, we have official leader. We have official leadership, but I don't think any of us are ready to say, oh, my fellow senator, he's my leader, and I follow him off the edge of the cliff. There is no one leader other than our official leadership that we have.
Since the 2012 elections, the American people have been seeing interesting changes in the Republican Party. This morning on CBS's Face the Nation, longtime and well-respected Republican Senator John McCain was asked how Senator Ted Cruz, who has spent less than a year on Capitol Hill, was able to lead the party into this mess. Here's a bit of what he had to say in regards to Senator Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is entitled to his views, and he's very articulate, he's very intelligent. And what we need to do is to have this debate within the Republican Party. And it's going to be a serious debate. And look, I respect Senator Cruz. He didn't make any bones about what he was going to do when he came to Washington. The question is should we follow that leadership, or should we go in other directions and coalesce the majority of the American people? Look, I guess we can get lower in the polls. We're down to blood relatives and paid staffers now. I mean, it just, but we've got to turn this around.
The message that was clear from Senator McCain is that the Republican Party is hurting in the polls, and if they want to see positive results in 2014, they have to get the government back to work. And Senator McCain isn't the only Republican worried about their party's standing. Senator Lindsey Graham backed up McCain's thoughts this morning on ABC.
We're in a free fall as Republicans, but Democrats are not far behind. And after listening to all of us talk now, I probably understand why 60% of Americans want to vote all incumbents out. To my colleagues in the House on both sides and to my friends in the Senate, we're ruining both institutions.
And New York Senator Chuck Schumer shared his own thoughts on the Tea Party and Senator Ted Cruz.
I think the Tea Party has reached its peak. I think Ted Cruz, early on in his career, has reached his peak. This idea that I am going to cause huge damage to you and to America unless I completely get my way, once the spotlight shines on it, doesn't look very good. And the spotlight is now shown on it. And so you've seen the numbers. Tea Party numbers are way down. But even the Republican Party, which has followed the Tea Party by and large over the last year or two, are way down. And that has a dose of reality. That's a dose of reality.
Bottom line, coming from both parties, is it's time to set the petty politics aside and get the government back to work. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Seamus will join me again to talk about the possible default on the national debt. Stay with us.
I'm opposed to losing. Shocking drugs that road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We're just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
The Oswego MBA program, helping you achieve your goals with a customized curriculum developed with flexibility in mind. Take classes year-round, full or part-time in Oswego, online or at the Metro Center in downtown Syracuse. More information is available online or by calling 315-312-2911.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.